Hey Forum, my name is Manny, aka CascadeScents. Welcome to another video. This one, as you can see by the title, is on my top 10 summer designer fragrances for the year. And this is a subject I'm really excited for, especially since we missed out on my favorite spring fragrances of the year. So with this summer list coming around, especially when I'm dropping it a little early because it's not officially summer yet, especially in Canada where it's not the hottest of seasons right now in comparison to other parts of the world. That's why you're going to see stuff here that's not for just the most blazing of heat. Gonna mix it up here, so if your summer is also not going to be as aggressive like my Canadian summer here, this might be of service to you hopefully too. And to anyone else, just enjoy the show hopefully. So with that out of the way, we might as well get on with it. We'll start off at number 10 counting down, and here we go with Allure Homme Édition Blanche by Chanel. Now I'm a big proponent of this scent mainly because I love how Chanel was able to make a lemon vanilla fragrance, so a vanilla fragrance for the summer. It still smells sweet and delectable, not like a rooty vanilla, but more of a dessert like vanilla here, but still doesn't go too sickly off my skin in the summer, and it's just perfect, which I love it for. Got some of the woods in the dry down to help subdue it as well, but for the most part I'm getting a lemon, pink pepper, and vanilla-ish fragrance here. So as for when I would wear this fragrance, yes, it has signature scent quality written all over it, but it's predominantly a daytime fragrance. Because I love it so much, it's something that I kind of want to reserve as a treat rather than just a dumb reach I could use for any time, although you're welcome to do that with this scent. It will certainly fit any occasion this season, but you know, it's probably something I'd wear when I'm maybe waking up, making myself something nice to eat, whether it's for breakfast, brunch, or lunch. Maybe I'm on a lunch date with this. Who knows? I just know I really like this stuff, and if it wasn't for my years of mileage with this scent, because I boosted a lot, it would probably be higher on this list. So yes, this list is from 10 being my least excited, but still excited, and number 1 being my most excited. So with that being said, I think that about does it for my number 10 here. This is Allure Homme Édition Blanche Eau de Parfum by Chanel. Next up, we have my number 9 summer designer fragrance, and it's more of a luxurious one if you have seen its price point, which I'm going to show you anyway, but here it is. This one is called Neroli Portofino by Tom Ford. Now you could argue that this is niche because of the argued quality that goes into the Tom Ford private blend collection as well as other luxury lines in the designer realm, but Tom Ford's a designer. It says Tom Ford on the bottle, so I'm gonna put it on this list. Sorry, not sorry. That being said, this is a scent that I've spoke out against in the past just because I think it's an awful valuation at MSRP, which is usually around $225, $230 or up if you're in the United States. For a 50 ml that lasts 2 hours, I think it's a little bit much, but here's the catch. I did score it for a really good deal. That's why it's on my list. I'm not going to say, hey, buy it again at that price. I just think it's crazy, but if you can also get it on for a deal, then fair play to you too. But there ain't nothing wrong with fragrances that last 2 or 3 hours, because if that 2 or 3 hours feels worth it for the price you paid, then more power to you. Like, this stuff is equal parts citrus florals, and off of my skin, it's just super radiant, especially in the sun. The citrus florals in the scent are reminiscent of citrus florals of gentlemanly scents from back in the day, most notably cheaper ones like 4711. Like, might not be direct clone, but I can understand what someone's saying that maybe this scent doesn't exist if it wasn't for those OGs, and that for the most part is true. But again, if you can afford it, if you can hopefully score it for a deal, maybe you'll be more enthused for this as well as far as buying it yourself. It's my number 9. If it lasted a little longer, maybe it might be higher. Otherwise, what can you do? Again, it's Neroli Portofino by Tom Ford. Now moving on to number 8, it's another citrus floral. This one is very familiar in the fragrance community and industry overall. It's called Mugler Cologne Come Together by Mugler. Now this is still the same scent as the initial Mugler Cologne. It just has a subtitle now, which is evocative of this new marketing campaign for other Mugler colognes now. So this is not just the only one. There's a bunch of flankers out here, but again, this is the OG. This still is very reminiscent of Irish Spring soap, if you guys are familiar with that. So again, very citrusy, very citrus florally, very unisex as well. I feel like anyone can wear this, especially the way it was marketed back in the day. Not marketed, but I believe it was Thierry Mugler himself who said that this fragrance is supposed to be for someone who does not like fragrance. So if you quote unquote don't want to stink and you want something rather affordable that you can just spray on for any of your daily occasions, then this would be it. So maybe you're going out for a walk, you're going to the gym as soon as things like that start to open up. Maybe you're just getting chores done around the house. Maybe this is something that you'd consider spraying on yourself, especially when it just smells super clean and fresh. And again, it's not gonna break the bank. So cannot speak out against this one right here. Again, it's Mugler Cologne come together at number 8 by Mugler. All right, moving on to my number 7 summer designer fragrance. Here we go. It's called Versace Florim Dill and Blue by Versace. Huge fan of this scent, mainly because you get the crowd-pleasing aspects of something like a Sauvage or a Blood de Chanel. It's still as playful as Sauvage, which is nice and performs just as well as it, but at the same time, it feels a little bit more subdued, at least to my nose, without maybe a harsh metallic note that is a little polarizing in Sauvage for some people. Again, without that more nuanced metallic vibe, you have a more straightforward, watery approach here, which I really like. And typically, I don't want something with patchouli and DNA like this, but they actually did it well here, if you ask me. For the price you can get this for, I think it's just really well blended and you can use it for nearly anything. So when I'm not really feeling a certain way as far as my mood per se, that is evocative of this occasion or this emotion, typically I'll just go for something like this if I just want to crowd please. That being said, I've noticed that the feedback on this fragrance is not as positive as it once was in the past, mainly because I feel like a lot of people are picking up a DNA like this already, whether they already have something like a Bleu, whether they have a Sauvage. I just feel like it's becoming a little bit more played out, at least amongst the people I know and the circles I'm in. That being said, overall it's still flattering, again, to mainly people who haven't smelled it as much before, so I have to give it credit for that. Again, I love its, in my opinion, less nuanced, but still really well blended execution here. Again, it's my number 7 designer fragrance for the summer, Versace Florim Dill and Blue by Versace. All right, moving on to number 6. This one is a repeat offender of this list. It's called Hermes Eau de Parfum by Hermes, of course. Now, it is arguable that if I could only pick 2 fragrances in the designer world to keep for the rest of my life, it might just be this and Hermes Eau de Toilette itself. Like you have the OG Eau de Toilette for your more distinguished occasions and more rugged seasons, and this one for the more hotter weather and your more casual occasions. I feel like if I want to shout less but still feel like I have a masculine citrus wood on, this is what I will actually reach for. Don't get me wrong, I still love Hermes Eau de Toilette more than this. It's just sometimes you don't want as much mineral coming off of you, or maybe a little bit of that black pepper and or this soily quality that's still clean from the Eau de Toilette. Maybe you just want it toned down a lot more. So it's bound to be less aggressive off your skin, so don't expect too much positive feedback out of this one, but without a doubt, it's still crowd pleasing if someone actually does get a whiff of you. So if you're the type of gentleman that just doesn't need to shout during the summer, definitely take a look at this fragrance right here. Again, it's Hermes Eau Très Fraîche by Hermes. Moving across the halfway point here, we have my number 5 spring fragrance of the year. This one is Dunhill Icon. Guys, Icon's one of the better fragrances you can find at the discount level if you currently can. You're getting a pretty nuanced, traditional, masculine breakdown of a fragrance at an Eau de Parfum concentration. Opens up with a really bright bergamot. You got a little bit of a spicy heart as well, a little bit of aromatics until it dries down into something woody. A very signature scent of a type of scent if you want to maybe dress smart casually, if not smarter for the most part throughout the summer. So also a very gentlemanly scent like the aforementioned Hermes, but this one with more of a formal edge per se. So if I'm in a suit or a sport coat and jeans or something like that, I'll probably consider reaching for this one. But overall, it's somewhat of an overlooked, underrated scent that comes from a brand that people sadly forget about other than this line. But again, doesn't mean you should, and that's why it's on this list. Again, it's Icon by Dunhill, my number 5 summer designer fragrance. All right, moving on to my number 4 summer designer fragrance, and it is from yet another Hermes, and this one's from the Hermescence collection. It's called Rose Ikebana. So what I love about this scent is that you get this vegetal yet floral quality, just a blast of rhubarb and rose, and something greener in the background as well. It kind of feels like a tea fragrance, and you guys already know that I love tea, but it's a very casual kind of rose / rhubarb fragrance. It doesn't feel perfumey at all. So if you're scared of stuff like Portrait of a Lady and or other just big rose scents, don't worry when it comes to this one, it's super wearable. So that goes for both men and women watching. And I truly believe that anyone who gets into fragrance as an enthusiast also needs a fragrance that can actually challenge them, but at least give it a try out if you have a local Hermes in your area, because this is part of the Hermescence collection, so it is exclusive to their stores, and yes, it is their luxury line, comparable to the Tom Ford Private Blend collection, for example. As a result, they're not cheap, don't hate me for that, but I definitely do believe that they are of of quality and definitely evocative of the Hermes name as far as less is more. It won't scream off your skin for the price you're paying, so if you are okay again with minimalism, this is something I would definitely check out. So Rose Ikebana for the win by Hermes, my number 4 summer designer fragrance. All right, moving on to my number 3 summer designer fragrance, and this one I'm really excited for because I've yet to feature it on the channel. And it's from yet another designer luxury line, this time Les Exclusifs de Chanel, and it is called 1957, or if you really want, 1957. But for the purpose of this video, I am calling it 1957, and guys, 1957 is sublime. Here you get a Blaska musk, but it's a white musk that is synthetic and very clean, paired with that classic set of Chanel aldehydes. Very bright, invigorating stuff, just quite the pick-me-up when you first spray it, but it dries down into something super cozy and something traditional with that orris root in the base as well. It doesn't go too earthy, doesn't go too animalic whatsoever. I know that note can have nuances of either, but here I can just describe the scent as a bright musk with an earthy base that doesn't lean too earthy. Just very smart, chic stuff that I want to reserve for my best of occasions here. So if I have anything formal to attend, or maybe I want something that's going to last throughout the day and it's something I really am excited for, believe it or not, this is like the kind of scent I'll spend the day in the city with, say if I'm shopping or something like that. For me, that's kind of a sacred occasion, so yeah, I love it for that too. Also, this scent has a little bit more meaning to me because 1957 is my father's birth year, so shout outs to him. And yeah, I'm just super excited that I have an opportunity to be able to showcase it for you guys. Again, I mentioned that it is super expensive because it's part of that Les Exclusifs de Chanel, but I definitely do feel like it's worth it for me with the sentimental meaning I have and as far as what I'm able to get out of this scent. Because I think it's great, and I just think it's evocative of really cool fashionista kind of emotions and thoughts. So there you go, you know how I feel on this. Again, it's my number 3 summer designer fragrance, 1957 from Les Exclusifs de Chanel, or 1957. Winding down now, we're at the final 2. Second place on this summer designer list goes out to this one. It's called Un Jardin sur le Nil by Hermes. Now, this has been number 1 on a lot of people's lists in the past, including mine. And of course, I can't blame them for thinking that of this scent. This stuff is super gorgeous with how it's able to successfully capture the image of the Nile, or in this case, a garden by the Nile. So here you have bulrush, which is like cattails growing by the water. You have lotus flower, you have green mango. So bittersweet, water floral, a little bit of earthy greens, and just overall just feels like what they're actually advertising the scent as far as its name. On top of that, it's not going to break the bank too much like the aforementioned Rose Ikebana, so that you can take some solace with, because Hermeses are not cheap at the top, and they're still not cheap right here. But this is definitely the gem and the OG of the Un Jardin collection, and if you've yet to smell any of those, again, I highly recommend them because it's such a cool line on the designer level. And I can't help but love Hermes for telling stories, storytelling, and smelling good. So if you don't mind being transported to another place when you wear something like this, again, I think that's fun. That's part of why I'm into fragrances. It's not just about smelling good. That's not why we have a fragrance community, but why we want to smell good, all these emotions, all these stories that come about. That's why we do this. And this is a scent that will forever remind me of that. So shout outs to Un Jardin sur le Nil, my number 2 designer fragrance for the summer. And last but not least, this one is quite the hidden gem at number 1. It's from one of the biggest brands in the world, yet no one seems to be talking about it because they forget it exists. But I can't front. When I smelled this back in the day when I was a youngin', couldn't really afford perfume and whatnot, it was still available on this continent. I needed to have it eventually. And somehow now I do, because I was able to get it to where I live without paying that much of a premium. So here we go. It's called Higher Energy by Christian Dior. Not gonna lie, I really wish that brand still made sense like this. So what does it smell like? Here you have main notes of grapefruit, black pepper, and vetiver. And while that sounds like it can lean in maybe a blue direction, but don't worry, there's no ambrox in here. Or maybe a terre d'Hermes, don't worry, the vetiver's not too intense here. It's actually none of those things. And that's why I feel like notes can somewhat be a little bit more misleading than to be helpful. So what I get out of this is a not so sharp grapefruit. It smells like there's a few other fruits in here as well, but they just don't feel that jovial per se. It's not too spicy off my skin too. I just don't feel like there's much of a kick out of my nose. But overall, this stuff is very fresh and ozonic, if that makes any sense. Kind of like that feeling when you wake up in the morning, you go outside to get your paper and you can see fog, and mist everywhere. Little hint of something metallic in the back, but not too pungent as well. It's just overall a very pleasant wear that I wish more people would talk about, but here I am. So the kind of person I would recommend this to is maybe if you used to like stuff like Platinum Egoist, or if you still like that stuff by Chanel. This is like a less austere yet still steely and determined kind of fragrance like that. So again, just less metallic and overall more of an ozonic fresh. Again, not a deep waters blue fragrance, not a beachy Aqua de Jo type fragrance. So for me, it's a kind of summer fragrance that's perfect just because I don't really live by anywhere too maritime per se. I'm around a bunch of fresh water, a bunch of fields, bunch of woods, but still picturesque Great Lakes kind of background, you know? And that's why I reach for a fragrance like this, because it really feels like it's a type of fresh that's fit for someone like me and their surroundings. So again, you know, I love it, but, and this is a big but because this stuff is not cheap, just because this is regionally exclusive to Europe and other random places in the world and not North America. If you do search for this online, you might be subjected to some sort of premium. And again, I just don't want that for you guys. But I'm so excited to get more wares out of this summer just because it's my first time owning it. And I promised myself back in the day that I would have this, but I just couldn't afford it back then. So here we go. Again, it's my number one fragrance for the summer designer wise. It is Higher Energy by Christian Dior. But there you go, Florim. Hopefully you enjoyed that all. That was my summer top 10 designer fragrance list. It's that time of the video where I want you guys though to tell me what you think about my list and what I should be checking out this summer. So I probably missed something that you might have wanted me to list here. Please tell me what that is in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoy this content, like and subscribe if you've yet to, and if you really liked it, please hit the bell for more notifications so you guys don't miss any more awesome content like this. And yeah, I think that about does it for me until then. So thank you for the ongoing support as always. Take care. Peace out. Bye. Wear your fragrances. Yo, y'all should see how dank this shirt is. Check that out.